Original hats. My God, they have so much merchandise. Is incredible. I mean, it's insane. Look at this. Hey, John Daly, take a Snickers bar because you're not yourself. You went from a black Irish to a beautiful black man. Oh, it's John Hardison sitting in your place. Welcome to a daily fish hook. Yeah, we're noon on a Friday, and we're gonna have tease Tuesday's show. Hardline. John's down in West Palm Beach. He's doing some videos. He's doing some remotes for Daily Fish. So we'll get him back on Tuesday's show. We're gonna have Grant Fuhr,
NHL
Stanley
Hall of
Cup
Famer.
champion, buddy, Hall of Famer. What do you think?
Great guy, great personality, tough as nails guy. You gotta love him. The stories that he could tell just being in the locker room with Messier and with Gretzky, all the great things that he's got to tell us. Super excited to be able to delve deep into this.
Yeah, and he's had a great career afterwards. He's actually been in the front offices of a few teams, including my Los Angeles Kings. So be fun to get him on and get him to see what an experience of being an African American, one of the first ones, pioneers, and just a great guy, great player. So we'll check out what his life's been going on. But there's been stuff going on this weekend. We know Daly down in West Palm Beach, if he can stay there a few more days, he might catch a spring training game because baseball is back. The collective bargaining agreement was ratified yesterday, hardline. Anything you see in that stands out to you?
The biggest thing that I want to know is what's the pitch clock rule that we have coming into play? How is that going to be affected? And this DH going into the NL now, how is that going to shake things up? AL's had a little bit of an advantage. Now we're going to see if it evens out the playing. Maybe makes the game a little bit faster too.
Yeah, I think the pitch clock's can be great. Yeah, I heard it's anywhere between 14 and 19 seconds. We've said it on the show before. Guys like Canley Jensen, who take 45 to 48 seconds, are really going to have to adjust their game. But you know what? The average baseball game is 3 hours and 14 minutes. I'll bet you with the pitch clock and the DH, we'll get baseball to what it was back in the 70s and 80s. That's about a 2 hour and 50-minute game. And in this instant gratification society hardline, that's going to help the sport, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. You got to make sure that you're fast, you're quick. You got to catch this generation's attention, and I think that's the right move to make this a even more viable product moving forward.
Hardline was a whopping 68%, and we brought him on. He's been a valuable member of this team, great a part of the show right before football season. But now it's tough because he's got to handicap basketball, the NBA, including college basketball, hockey. But did you see are there any futures up, or is it too soon for baseball? And if there are, did any catch your eye?
I would say it's too soon right now, just because we're coming off of the agreement right now. We're trying to figure out kind of where everything stands, and we even got to figure out how the schedule is going to work out now. Now that they still have 162 games, how many back to backs are we going to have? What's the time frame and travel? There's a lot of questions that are out there, Fish. But there's a lot of teams that I really love, and we're going to get to it on Tuesday, that are catching my eye. Especially when we see a little bit of the moves official.
Okay, then let's segue into that because we're going to have for the first time ever the Hot Stove League really fires up in the NFL when tampering can start on Sunday, 10 o'clock Western time, when you can talk to agents. So things are going to leak out. So you're going to have teams that are scrambling right now to sign free agents in baseball. You're going to have so much news on baseball free agents and football free agents next week. It's going to dominate a lot of our show. I would love for my Dodgers to. I love Andrew McCutchen, and I think he's a perfect fit. Freddie Freeman of the Braves is going to be on the move. We're going to see a lot of names. And then who do you like? I mean, I think J.C. Jackson, hardline, in the NFL, one of the guys that wasn't franchised, might be the top free agent. I hear, and it breaks my heart, that the Chargers are ready to open up the pocketbook again. What are you hearing?
J.C. Jackson is a hot commodity right now. We're waiting to see. There's a lot of teams, especially in the AFC West, that could be looking at him. It's an arms race, especially in this division right now. We just saw what happened with Mac. Jackson's on the table. We saw what happened with Russ. So it's a move in the AFC. I will make the argument right now that AFC is the better of the two divisions in football, or better of the two conferences in football right now. And
Sure.
I know Fox and a couple other big names that have the NFC as their bread and butter are salivating at CBS right now in the AFC. All the games that they're getting.
Oh, it's incredible. And you and I talk about it. You come into Shuck's Tavern where I'm at, and we talk about what's a quarterback. Name a quarterback in the NFC that's even close to the stature of Aaron Rodgers, and you just lost Russ to the AFC, which is loaded with great young quarterbacks. The future of the league is in the AFC. Can Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford, the two guys I could think of in the NFC, can they come up to Aaron Rodgers' stature? I don't think so. Stafford had a great year, but he was protected by the fact they had a great defense around him. Kudos to him. Great move. They were all in. Do you think that the Denver Broncos took that blueprint and they're all in and they have a really good shot with Russell Wilson to making the Super Bowl this year?
You know what? I think they're all in. I think that they are looking at the next 2 years as either make or break. And they did a lot of similar things to what the Rams did. I mean, they gave up a lot of first round picks. So if you're not all in this situation, then there wasn't a sense to do it. But you're right. In the NFC, it is Aaron Rodgers. And then you have below that kind of all the rest of the guys. We're talking about Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and maybe Matthew Stafford's kind of the betweener. But it is the Green Bay Packers conference to lose, versus the AFC. We're talking about four of the best quarterbacks in the AFC West. And then, you transition, you still have Deshaun Watson in the AFC right now. You got a lot, you still got Pat Mahomes. You still got a lot of these great guys, even Lamar Jackson. So, keep your eye out for a lot of these things because Sunday is going to be an arms race. A lot of chit chatter is going on even right now. Maybe somebody's on a vacation on an island that two people just happen to show up on.
I know that's going. John Daly is the host of Daily Fish. We'll be live 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific on the DBNA network, which includes Roku TV, Amazon.net. We picked up Wingding TV. We're also live on Spotify. This is John Hardison, the Hardline. He's got the Game and Winning podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Let's move on to one thing I'm really excited about talking about. Right now, we're in the middle of the conference tournaments. Right now, you look at my TV, you can't see them. I got conference tourneys everywhere. Sunday is going to be the selection for the tournament. How does that work with you for teams getting snubbed? Do you look at the props about what teams are really I'll give you an example. I'm not wording myself right. You're a team that's got a top seed in your conference. You're 22-4, and you're in the Pac-12, but you're on the bubble, and you lose in the first round of the conference tournament. Are you one of those guys that wants to rely on the committee, or do you think there should be an automatic bid to someone that finishes 22-4 in your conference?
You know what? It's kind of a make or break on that. I do think there are some conferences when we talk about Power Five that even though you lost the first round, you should make it in. And that's one of the teams that we look at. The other day, Baylor just lost. Texas just lost. And those are two teams that I believe should be in the tourney. But here's the big thing that I tell people. Just because you drop to a lower seed doesn't mean that you may not have an easier path. And we've seen that in the past with Michigan State, where people are like, oh, they're a 6th seed and they've made the Final Four. So don't take everything based off of seeding. Sometimes that helps you in your betting.
Let me ask you something, being from Michigan, and you're such a astute sports aficionado of the state of Michigan and its sports. We talk about how popular Jim Harbaugh is into Michigan, but we've never talked about this between you and I, whether it's at the bar or on the show. How big is Tom Izzo in the state of Michigan?
Tom Izzo's a god in the state of Michigan. I mean, I would say that he is the Michigan version of John Wooden. There is nothing that he could do that would make for the most part, there's nothing that he could do. He'll have that job for as long as he wants it at Michigan State. Unless someone from the NBA reaches out and offers him a significant amount of money and control, there's nothing. He could be in that seat till he's 90 years old and no one would ever question if it's his time to leave. You're talking about a guy who's made at least 5 or 6 Final Fours. You're talking about a guy with a national championship. You're talking about a guy who produces NBA All-Stars left and right and is getting, he's doing it with not even maybe blue blood picks. That's the type of guy that you build a program around and you keep him. To me, he's in my top 5 of all-time college basketball coaches. And that's, we're talking about Wooden, we're talking about Krzyzewski. He's up there. Now, whether people want to admit it or not, hey, but you got to look at what he's been able to do with that Michigan State program. Before he got there, in that middle piece, they were struggling. Since then, they're perennials.
You mentioned a coach just now, Mike Krzyzewski, this is the final run he's going to have, and what a great career. What impressed me about Izzo is that he never gets the accolades because it's all about Harbaugh and the Michigan football team. And Michigan probably is a more prestigious university than Michigan State. But when I think of Michigan State, I think of Tom Izzo and Irvin Magic Johnson. And I can't think of anyone other than Tom Brady that ever came out of Michigan that is at that stature. So there's great college sports in Michigan for you Detroit Lion fans, and the Tigers are going to have a tough time competing in free
Yeah.
agency. The Red Wings stink. The Pistons are hit and miss. You have great college sports in Michigan, and we're going to explore that more on the Daily Fish podcast. When we go to different states and talk about what's really popular in your state. We never talk about Tom Izzo. Let me ask you one more question about Michigan sports. How is high school sports in Michigan? I'll go back because my wife's from Ohio, and being from LA, I was shocked at how popular high school sports are, just like it is in Texas. Does Michigan have that same kind of fervor and excitement over high school sports, especially in the inner cities?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it is a huge, huge sport, especially football in Michigan. Football is king in Michigan, and then you go to basketball after that. And we talk about guys like Braylon Edwards came out of Michigan. We talk about Bart Scott came out of Detroit, Michigan. The list goes on and on of guys that we could just name. Even Corey Davis played on the west side of Michigan. It is a huge thing in Michigan. And if you ever go to the Michigan State Championship game, I've had the luck of actually playing in a state championship game. And when you hear those roars and you come out and each side of Ford Field is filled with your team and the opposing team, there's no energy like that you can explain to anyone unless you feel it. It's like when you watch Derek Carr look around the stadium when he's running out of the tunnel and you feel that energy around you pulsating. That's what it's like in Michigan.
Yeah, just a fun fact on the side. Hardison's dressed in his sweats. He looks great. He just came back from the NFL Combine. He ran a 4.9 in the 40. His vertical leap was 7.3. If they put a chicken wing higher or the fried fish basket, he would have jumped higher. But we have Hardline going in the 7th round to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we might lose this guy. So if you think I'm kidding, check out our podcast in about 2 months when you see Hardline there at minicamp. Man, you got it.
I saw Chris Landry there taking notes for me.
You got yeah. Again, exciting. Look what's going on. With baseball starting, I know our compatriot John Daly's in hog heaven. We got the Players' Championship this weekend. The Masters starts in a couple of weeks. That week of April 14th, you got the Masters, Major League Baseball starting, and then the NBA playoffs are really close. Coming the season coming to a climax. One last thing I want to ask you about sports, and we'll do a tag on the Daily Fish hook. The Lakers. They can't stop talking about the Lakers on social media, on the daily morning shows. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd. I'll name them all. It's all about the Lakers. Can't the NBA survive without my hometown team, the Lakers, and everyone talking about how they have to win this playing game?
You know what? It's hard when you're one of the big 5 teams. It is hard for people to pivot away from it. And look, the Lakers run LA. You know it as well as I do. It's the Lakers and then it's the Clippers somewhere down here. So, it's sad what's happened this season. Did anyone expect them to be at the bottom? No, I think people mostly expected them to be somewhat in the middle, maybe top 4 team. But it's room for growth, and it gives a lot of hope for maybe next season where we go from there. But if the Lakers are struggling and the Knicks are the Knicks, you're leaning on the 76ers or some maybe one or two of those old ones. But LA needs the Lakers to step up. They need them to step up in a huge way, especially when we're talking about a team that just came off of winning the championship about 2 years ago. So, it's been a drastic change, and they need Anthony Street Clothes to step up. They need him to come.
Yeah, they sure do, man. You look great without glasses on, man. You're a handsome man. You're almost as good looking as I am. This kid, Casey Evans, big fan of the show. Casey Evans shows up at Chuck's Tavern on North Durango, and the guy bleached his hair. I thought he was a member of the band Blink 182. It's crazy. When you do a Estee Lauder makeover, like me, I don't have to do anything, but Hardline, you look fantastic, man. If I was John, I want to stay down in West Palm Beach and try out for the Red Sox, wherever they're going to be at right now.
Ooh, fish, right. Black don't crack.
Hey, we can't generalize about that kind of stuff. It's a cancel culture, but you're right. Look at that skin, baby. Hey, this is the Daily Fish Hook with John, the Hardline Hardison, 68% in calling NFL and college games, and now he's going to the NBA, the NHL, college basketball, and he's gonna have some baseball features for you on Tuesday. So 6 o'clock Tuesday. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. Grant Fuhrer, Hardline, Hotties Hollywood. Daly be back. Take us out, Hardline.
You guys come to the best sports show that's around. Daily Fish, 6 p.m. on the East Coast time, 3 p.m. on the West. We got the great Grant Fuhrer coming. Great stories, great food, everything that you want. Come get it.